One of the most famous houses in Erie is located on West 26th Street at Sigsbee Reservoir. Now, the old Caretaker's house, built in 1873. Many people who pass by it, by that house, probably wonder, what was it like to live in there?
There is one person who really knows, and our John Last talked with him for this edition of The Last Word.
Erie history. You know I love it. And here's a big part of it. The Caretaker's house at the Sigsbee Reservoir.
Once the reservoir was put in, the actual people that maintained and took care of the reservoir and the water inside the reservoir actually lived here with their family.
I was born in this house in 1931.
This is Jerry Graffius, age 90. He claims he is the only person still around today that lived in the Caretaker's house.
There's nobody left. I'm it.
Jerry lived in the Caretaker's house from the time he was an infant in 1931 until he was 14 years old. His grandfather, Frederick Wittenberg, was the caretaker at the reservoir from 1906 to the time he died in 1944. Jerry remembers every inch of the Caretaker's house. He says the first floor contained a dining room on the 26th Street side and a kitchen on the Sigsbee Street side.
The washing machine, the hot water tank, the stove, and the ice box. Not a refrigerator, but an ice box.
The second floor was where Jerry's grandparents had their bedroom. There also was a living room where this balcony overlooks 26th Street. Jerry says every December his family placed a Christmas tree in that balcony window. That practice continues today by Erie Waterworks.
And then they brought the Christmas tree up the ramp in through my grandfather's bedroom in there because you'd never get it up those steps. You'd never make the turn.
Those steps are not very wide, and they are very steep.
I could fly up those steps and down those steps. Yes. And then even the ones that went to the third floor.
The third floor has 2 bedrooms. Jerry shared one room with his brother and his mother. The other bedroom belonged to his uncle. There was a space heater, but it was still cold inside during the winter.
And my brother and I, we used to see who was the toughest because the windows would freeze. We'd want to see who could hold their hand against the glass before they had to pull off.
Speaking of tough, Jerry would help his grandfather mow the steep, slanted lawn surrounding the entire reservoir with a push mower. It was the Depression era, but he was happy here.
You're young. You don't know any better.
With the last word at Erie's Sigsbee Reservoir, John Last, Erie News Now.
I'll never look at that house the same after hearing his story.
Never would have
so
thought.
much history. And Frank believes there was only one person who succeeded his grandfather as caretaker and lived at the Caretaker's house. It was believed that man was there for only a couple of years until about 1947.
And by the way, it's rare to be able to go inside the house these days, as the reservoir has been under tight security since 9/11.